Greetings, worship leadership, fall 2016. Today's date is September 14th. We have three of our students with us. We have Josh and Sam and Yasmadi from Yasmadi's from Miami. Josh, well, Yasmadi's from Cuba, but she currently resides in Miami. Do you say you're from Miami now?
Yes, of course. I'm very American.
Of course. Very, very. And Josh, I'm trying to remember where Josh lives. Josh, are you in Mississippi?
No, sir. I am in Forest Hill, Louisiana.
That's right.
Louisiana boy.
Sometimes I get North Louisiana and Mississippi confused. I can say that because I spent a lot of time in Mississippi. Yeah, Robert and Sam, I'm not hearing them right now, so we'll have to let them remind us where they're from. So, guys, we want to try to increasingly get into some lecture material, but of course, it's still relatively early in the semester. So, if anybody has a question, I'm happy to answer that. I'm going to go ahead and turn on share screen just in case you do have a question. All right, has anybody got a question about anything? No questions? Wow, that's amazing. Sam, do you have a question about anything? Oh,
No,
this
sir.
is wonderful. I am just thrilled beyond belief. Okay, let's go. Then let's look at what's ahead. Then give you a little bit of a preview. You're on Unit 4, I believe, this week. This is Dr. Miller's unit. Pretty soon, either the next 2 weeks or maybe on the next, maybe it's 7 and 8. I end up taking 2 in a row. We'll make you aware of that so you'll know who to email. But this is next week. You're on the elements of worship. Let me go ahead and open that for you. And I tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to go ahead. Obviously, next week's will be open soon. This is elements of worship. And I believe next week is a week where I let you primarily use Dr. Sharp's material. Some weeks I add some extra stuff in. Let's look at it real quick. Focus on building blocks of a worship service. Yes, the elements. Okay, and there's some things from Holy Gatherings. Yeah, so all of your materials next week will be from Dr. Sharp's lecture. And what I do, folks, do you see under audio? This is just in case you're having problems watching the video. Obviously, it's better to watch the PowerPoint, but all of this is just a repeat of the audio from the video. So that's called, can everybody see that? The elements of worship PowerPoint right here?
Sir.
Okay. And so this audio right below it, that's just a repeat of the audio in case it seems like I don't know if everybody's getting better computers or our Blackboard's better, but it seems like we're having fewer problems. But if you do have problems, or you may be like me, I kind of like to listen to stuff while I'm exercising. So you could use that. So I'm just trying to be mobile friendly with you there and let you have that option. And then we'll post a discussion question as we always do. So nothing big as far as surprises there. I will probably go ahead and open up units 6 through 9, but I'm going to hide all the discussion because we want you to do discussion together. But I'm going to go ahead and open up the material because you are at a point where you might want to go ahead and start working on your observations. Now, let me remind you of something. I've had a couple of people ask because pretty soon we have the your worship assessment criteria. First of all, let me tell you this. I don't think I've ever seen anyone turn that in on time and not make an A. So in terms of a grade, as long as you turn it in on time, you don't really need to worry about it. But if you do a good job with it, it certainly is going to help you with your observation. The whole point of the worship assessment criteria is to get you thinking about evaluating a worship service. That's the whole point of it. So the better your worship assessment criteria, the better your observations, or the easier your observations will be. So I'm just showing you this on the syllabus, just a reminder, this is coming up. All right, worship assessment criteria. There we go. It's due October 1st. And the better you organize this, you literally can have just a guide when you go in to do your observations so that you can just fill that out, make good notes, and your observation will basically be written. You do have to type it up, of course, and meet the minimum requirements. So just a reminder of that. And notice that a huge part of the class, the observations and the designs, all of this is really covered, the core of it, in units 6 through 9. Okay, so you might say, well, what is all this stuff at the beginning? Well, we wanted to make sure we defined what worship was. You remember week 1, I was talking about the foundations of worship: biblical, theological, historical, cultural considerations, aesthetic considerations. I believe Dr. Miller's had some material that takes you deeper into the biblical, theological foundations. On week 3, I did a review of historical. Then unit 5 is talking about the important elements in a worship service. Not all things we would do every week, like Lord's Supper, but that's a great unit, very practical, very helpful. But when you get into what you'll actually turn in for the class, all of that leads you up to being able to design worship and evaluate worship. Okay, so there'll be some very helpful materials if you want to look at that to get a little bit of a head start. What I would like to do is, for the rest of the time we have today, is share some things with you related to history of worship leadership models, and maybe even get into a little bit of a value worship. I have my own material for that will not be emphasized as much in those units. So I'll use the video as an opportunity to sort of introduce you to that. Give me just a second. I need to pull up a particular slide for you to see. All right. By the way, I'm in the course documents section. You don't have to be too worried about this for now, but just for later in the semester, this will be helpful, like this history lecture outline, history of worship outline. That's going to be helpful in the final exam. I'll show you that real quick. It's really just a summation of the lectures that you saw last week, or that you listened to last week, if it will come up here. Here it goes. Yes. So this is just a review of what was talked about. And if you're familiar with this outline, you're going to be in good shape for the final exam. So since I saw that, I thought I would just go ahead and point that out to you. All right, we'll close that out. All right, I may have to go to a different link to show you what I want to show you here. This is Robert Weber's review of the history of worship, and it's not. It's really about particular worship leaders and their significance. So it's kind of a unique take. I think it's pretty interesting, and thought it might be helpful for you guys to look at that. I'm having a little trouble finding it. Guys, give me just a second. I'm going to stop this recording.